Kamatei haere ki ka Kohika Pūtaiao Te Reo Rakatira o ka manu o Rēhua me Dr Anderson.
Ko te iriraki hāpure o te poti ara tahi korerima ira 5FM Tekau Mārima whitu Tekau Mārima AM rānei.
Whaia ka mahi a te Kohika Māori o te poti ki www ira Landcare Research ira ko ira NZ tō rita mothne.
Fridays at 11 a.m. Grab a cup of tea and tune in as ka manu o Rēhua and Dr Anderson interview a guest scientist and bring you a mix of everyday science and Te Reo Māori.
Otago Access Radio on 105.4 FM and 1575 AM.
Catch the podcast at www.oar.org.nz. Follow Te Kohika Māori o Ōtepoti School Project on Facebook
or www.landcarresearch.co.nz/mothnet.
Tēnā tātou katoa.
Kia ora.
Ko moko toku ingoa.
Ko ana toku ingoa.
Ko Maia toku ingoa.
Ko Lily toku ingoa. Ko Margarita toku ingoa.
Ko Jasmine ahau.
Tēnā tātou katoa.
Ko Barbara toku ingoa.
Ko mātou ka manu o Rēhua.
Welcome to Ka Manu o Rēhua and Dr Anderson. I'm Dr Anderson, and this morning in the studio representing Ka Manu o Rēhua we have Maia and Lily from Te Kohika Māori o Ōtepoti, and the fabulous Whaia Victoria Campbell joining us from Te Runaka o Kaitahu. Tēnā koutou katoa.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Tēnā tātou katoa.
Excellent. And joining us this morning we have Tom Myers and his colleague, Barbara Wheeler from the Botanic Gardens here in Dunedin. Tēnā kōrora.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to be here.
Thank you. The whakatauki for this morning's show comes from the second panel of our Puka Whakamarama o Te Pepe Nui, the beginner's guide to the macro moths, and I'm going to let Maia.
Te āwhito kai paike.
Oh, my mic's still on. Yes, excellent. So, sorry, in English, the caterpillar eats the leaf, and
He whakatauki, te āwhito kai paike.
And we will let Tori expand upon that.
We were having a nice conversation this morning about whakatauki or Māori proverbs, and the first thing I wanted to mention was that most proverbs have different meanings for different contexts, so they can be used in a negative way or a positive way. The whakatauki for this week, we've chosen to look at it in a positive light, and that the caterpillar or the moth explores and tries lots of different foods, and you could reference that to in life you need to try lots of different things to find your niche, and so we encourage that opportunity to try different foods, and also metaphor again for perhaps knowledge and experiences. So yeah, that's a little bit more of an expansion on our whakatauki for this week.
Thank you. And of course, particularly relevant to the Botanic Gardens, Barbara, Tom, because it's all about caterpillars eating leaves.
Yeah, I'm not sure that we like the caterpillars eating the leaves in the Botanic Garden, but we'll have a crack at that. But yeah, it is relating to the Botanic Garden and to our plants in our gardens and the wildlife in our gardens that cruise around and either are attracting or eat the living daylights out of our plants.
And of course the variety that you have in the Botanic Gardens as well, because one of the very key things about Botanic Gardens is the huge variety of plants that they have there.
Yes, it's really a combination of gardens. There's many different types of garden within the Botanic Garden.
Fantastic. So we're just going to move right on now and have a quick plug for our moth guides. So we have 4 Puka Whakamarama o Te Pepe Nui, the beginner's guides to the macro moths, covering the whole of the South Island in 4 super regions: Te Taurapa, Te Tahiwi, Te Rauawa, and Te Hiheru. And I might get Tori there to expand upon the names for the super regions for the South Island.
Excellent. Yes, so when we were planning how we were going to present this information, we looked at different, once again, metaphor that we could use, and one of the names for the South Island is Te Waka o Aoraki, which is Aoraki's canoe. And so from that thought, we thought perhaps we could use that metaphor of a waka, of a canoe, for the different parts of the island, and so we've named the regions according to parts of a canoe.
Fantastic. I think we did a wonderful job there, personally. So these guides, they are available in both the Kaitahu dialect, which is pretty special, and also in an English translation of the Kaitahu dialect. And you can purchase them for $15 each, or a pair of them if you want to get the English and the Kaitahu version, so you can brush up on your Kaitahu. Thanks to Landcare Research, MB, Curious Minds and the Ahipepe MothNet partners, all the proceeds from these guides are going to help the tamariki for Te Koroko Papa Māori or Otipoti to represent the project, Ahipepe, at our and our region as a whole at WIPSI, which is the World Indigenous Peoples Conference for Education. If you'd like a guide, you can request one from our Facebook page. Just type in MothNet or Ahipepe and you'll find us, or contact any of our project partners, Landcare Research, Orokonui Eco Sanctuary, the Geography Department, or Te Tumu at the University of Otago, Te Runanga or Ngaitahu, or the Te Koroko Papa Māori or Otipoti. If you missed our show last week, you might be wondering what I'm talking about. Moths. That's what I'm talking about. Moths are important. Moths are really underrated. And here in New Zealand, we have the most amazing, diverse and special moths. We have around 2,000 different kinds or species of moths in New Zealand, which is 10 times as many moth species as there are bird species. So for every one bird species, there are 10 moth species in New Zealand. And it is one of the highest rates of endemisms of any group of species anywhere in the world. Moths, especially in New Zealand, are very important. The vast majority, over 90% of our moths, occur nowhere else in the world. This means that the guardianship of these moths is really down to us. We need to take care of them, and we need to do that properly. We need to know about them, where they are and how they're getting on. And that's what our project Ahipepe MothNet is all about, finding out about the moths and using science to work out what's happening with these moths. So moths play a pivotal role within the ecosystem as pollinators, herbivores, that's the eating bit, sorry guys, and as a food source for a range of invertebrates, small mammals, birds, bats and reptiles. This show emerged from the Otago Participatory Science Platform project, shedding light on the light, investigating the effect of artificial light on moths. And the recentest round, that's not English, is it? The most recent round for the PSP projects was actually, I think the applications closed yesterday, so very soon there'll be a whole nother group of PSP projects out there around and about Otago, and Craig Grant from that project has agreed to come on the show and tell us about the successful ones as soon as they're announced. So that's pretty fantastic. We've had so much fun on this project and we've learnt so much. Well, at least I have. I hope the kids have as well. Is that right, Maya? Aye. Lily? Aye, cool. We thought we'd tell everyone about it and bring our mix of everyday science and te reo to the wider community, and hence this show. So the project has taken on a life of its own. We started as a small citizen science project with 4 Otago schools, and here we'd like to have a shout out to the other 3 schools. So it's not just Te Koroko Papa that was in this first round, it was also Clutha Valley Primary from Clydeville, Shotover Primary in Frankton, and Mount Aspiring College in Wanaka. So now we have schools investigating moth diversity across the South Island, and we've just got funding to expand to the North Island next year. So we're really excited about that, especially the likes of Lily and Maya, who are going to be representing the Koroko Papa o Māori or Otipoti at that workshop in the North Island next year. Woohoo! So apart from that, we've got the big international conference, which is what we're fundraising for. So this is quite unbelievable, really. I don't think I've ever come across something as cool as this, where a primary school have submitted an abstract to an international conference, not a conference for kids, but an adults conference, and we are going there to Toronto to this huge conference, potential audience of 4,000 people, an hour-long presentation, which these 6 kids from the senior class are actually going to do. And so this radio shows a little bit of building up our confidence for that, and what we really need is the whole of Dunedin and Otago to get behind this project and help us take it to the world. It's a lot of money for a small school to raise: registration, airfares, accommodation, It's coming to a conservative $40,000, of which we've raised just over half. We are going to set up our Give a Little page, but in the meantime, you can purchase the moth guides through us, or you can probably even ring the live show and pledge for them. We might set that up for next week, Tommy? We've started manu, Rēhua and Dr Anderson to show that science is important. You're never too young or too old to give science a go. Science is for everyone, every day. And we are going to stop me talking now and just put on a little bit of song.
Ko te kaupapa o te kura nei, te kaupapa Māori e. Ko te kaupapa o te kura nei, ko te reo matua. Ko ngana whenea ngā hawewha, e akoa nei te kura kaupapa, hei o ranga o te reo, ranga tira.
How fantastic was that? The local kids from the Te Kohika Māori or Otipoti Waiata for us. And now we're just going to move along to the next section of our show. Just checking that I have got the mic on. Maya, can you remind us of the kupu for last week's show before we get started?
Kupu āwhina, ka whitu, the stars, kokorangi, astronomer, whitu marama, planets, literally the brightest stars, probably because the
I added that little bit in
like
there.
stars in the sky, but because they are closer to us, they seem brighter.
Yeah, I just added that little bit in there. Sorry, that probably spooked you a little bit there. I was thinking, when I was reading through it, I was thinking whitu marama. If whitu and marama, if you take them together, they probably literally mean the bright stars. And you can correct me if I'm wrong there, Tori.
You're about to go into a whole other field of astronomy there. That's one way to look at it. Let's say that.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so we'll leave it at that. But the main thing to take away there is ka whitu is the stars. And that was our show last week. You can catch that on podcast with Ian Griffin. And Lily, could you tell us the kupu for today's show?
Kupu āwhina. He Kohika Pūtaiao Science Collections, Botany, Mātai Tipu, Botanist, Mātanga Mātai Tipu, ko te tangata koi te pinati mōhio i ngā momo tipu me o ngā painga.
Fantastic. And today we have in the studio actually two botanists. And Barbara, are you actually a botanist?
Well, no, I'm a horticulturist.
A horticulturist.
Subtle difference.
A subtle difference. So we have Barbara, who's a horticulturist, and I think, Tom, you would call yourself a botanist.
Yep, that's correct.
Yep, and actually I am a botanist by training, so I call myself an ecologist, but actually I did a botany degree and I did a PhD in botany at the Otago University, and I think That's actually where you did your MSc, Tom.
That's correct, finishing in 1995.
Excellent, that's the year I started. Right, so we never cross paths. No. Except afterwards, I've been bugging Tom silly ever since. So, moving on with the actual show. For those of us joining, we're listening to Ka Manua Rēhua and Dr Anderson. We're joined this week by Barbara Wheeler and Tom Myers from the Botanic Gardens here in Dunedin. Tom is the Botanical Services Officer and Barbara is the Collections Supervisor. So together they fit very well with the theme of this week's show, which is biological collections. Tom has an MSc from the Botany Department here at Otago, which is my old department. And the Botanic Gardens, I think, are pretty special in New Zealand. Would you like to tell us a little bit about the Botanic Gardens?
Yeah, they're a garden of 30.4 hectares, I think. Hectares, which is nigh on 70, yeah. Barbara's showing me. I nearly forgot for a minute that whether it's hectares or acres. It's the oldest botanic garden in New Zealand, so it was formed on the 30th of June 1863, beating Christchurch Botanic Garden by 9 days.
Which is, of course, the important part.
That's the important bit. Little brother, big brother, we're big brother, we beat them. Yeah, and it's been on, it was on a different site originally. That was down at the University of Otago, the old site. Where the big glass library is, actually opposite the museum. So that was the old site of the Botanic Garden.
So did they shift all the plants?
They shifted in 1867. They realised that when the two floods of the Leith River came through, weren't many plants left.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
Yeah, so they shifted it to where the Acclimatisation Society grounds were, which is where it currently is.
Right, I think we shouldn't dwell on that too much, or Christchurch might put in an
I
illegal contest
That's
there for
right.
first Botanic Garden.
That's right.
We'll skim over the top of that one.
But yeah, it's a huge garden, and it's got how many plant species in it?
About 1,100.
You sure?
Move on.
Cool.
11,000.
And I think we have some questions here from Lily and Maya. Maya, you're up first.
He aha tō tino mahi, what is your job?
Kia ora, Maya. I work as botanist at the Botanic Garden.
And do you want to elaborate on what you actually do as a botanist for all those out there who don't know what a botanist is?
So,
I'm imagining you're in charge of the plants.
No, I'm not in charge of the plants. So Barbara's more in charge of the plants than I am, because Barbara's responsible for the whole grounds of the garden.
Right.
Whereas
so do you decide what plants go where?
No, I don't even do that. So I help people with planty questions.
Right. So if we come up and say to you, what's this plant?
Yeah.
What's it used for? Where does this come from?
Yep.
You're in charge of that?
Yep. That's
what
correct.
about if one of the plants is dying in the garden? Not that they would be, because it's a very well-run garden. I hesitate to add.
We have garden staff who work with the different types of plant, and usually they're the ones who know. So if you've got a cacti that's not very well, then Stephen Bishop would be the one who would know most about that.
So if we've got a kawa plant at the school, and we're thinking where would be the best place to plant this kawa plant, who would we be asking that to?
You would come through and either talk to myself, who would field you through to Kate Caldwell, who's our native collection curator. So basically all the cultural sort of parts of the Botanic Garden, how you cultivate the plants and how you grow them and all that are done by our staff and myself. And Tom's more looking after the botanical integrity of the Botanic Garden. So that's why he does a lot of plant labels,
right,
and a lot of plant names. He gives us all the direction on when plant names have changed.
Right.
So we get really annoyed with Tom.
Yeah. So one thing I'm always saying to the schools when we're doing the Ahi Pepe Mothnet workshop is that the difference between stamp collecting and science is the labelling. And that's really where we know where something was collected, when it was collected, and who collected it. And that's what gives us the information about what's where and how things are changing over time. And I guess that fits in with the labelling that Tom's doing there in the gardens. And I think there's one other thing, correct me if I'm wrong here, that Tom's in charge of, which is the small herbarium that goes along with the Botanic Gardens.
That's correct. It is really a teaching herbarium for our apprentices, but in some gardens around the world, they have very large herbaria, and some would argue that all the plants that are important to us in the garden should be represented in that herbaria, so that when scientists like you come along, you can loan that material and use it.
Right. So when Barbara says that you're the person that drives her nuts, I'm the person that drives you nuts.
You're the one that keeps me in a job.
Thank you very much. Lily, you're up there. Oh man, I've stolen your question, haven't I?
Hia te take I hia koe te mahi hei mātanga mātai tipu. What made you want to be a botanist?
It probably started a long time ago with my grandmother, who always got me in. I'm not a very good gardener, but she would always get me out gardening. And then we used to go tramping as a family, and my parents would be pointing out plants that we saw while we were tramping. And that just sort of sat in the back of my mind. And then once I was older, my parents were saying, what are you going to do with your life? I tried a few things, but it was the plants that pulled me back. So I just enjoy plants.
Oh, that's interesting. And Barbara?
Yeah, I just love working outside, and that's why originally I got into horticulture, because I loved working outside. And then the more I sort of worked with plants in my apprenticeship, the more I realised actually I love plants. And then the further on I went, I realised that I was quite obsessed by plants. So it's a perfect fit for me. I love working at the Botanic Garden and in horticulture. It's an amazing field that can take you a long, long way in the world.
Yeah. So there you go. Anyone out there, if you love gardening, if you love plants, that's the science field for you to go into. Be a botanist. Plug for the botany. And Maya, have we got another question there?
I rongoa hau I whakawhiwhia tā mātou maratipu he honore nui e te ao whānui te nā whakamohio mai. I heard that our garden is a 6-star garden of international significance. What does this mean?
So that rating's given to us by the New Zealand Gardens Trust, and they effectively are promoting the garden as one that no one should miss when they come to New Zealand or as a visitor. They're saying the standards are extremely high, and it's a botanic garden or a garden that you should not miss coming to visit.
Fantastic.
And we're the only botanic garden in New Zealand with that rating, and we're one of, I think there's 6 gardens, maybe 7 at this moment, with that 6-star rating in New Zealand. So we're one of a very few select gardens in New Zealand.
That's pretty fantastic. Have you guys actually been to the Botanic Gardens? Yeah, both of you?
Awesome, yeah. Awesome.
You know that the people outside can't actually see you nodding, eh? on radio, it's all about the vocalization of the gestures. Yeah? Cool. Hey, and needless to say, they were all nodding like crazy. We are just going to take a little break here and have a cool song. And I need to push that up. Fantastic. And we've got a couple of last questions, Lily, before we fade off.
Hia hanga ture mo te hāpuri I ngā kaunui ana rātou ki ngā tipu. What can the general public do at a botanic garden?
I think they can't do a lot of things. I'm not quite sure some of it might not be publishable on the show. But anyway, so in general, when we're talking about plants, they can't come in and just take bits of plants away. There's a process around getting permission to take bits of plants, take seed out of the garden and all that through Tom. So you can't just come in and go, oh, that's a really nice flower. I like that. I'll just clip that off and take it away. That's something that can't be done.
But maybe if we went through the proper process,
absolutely. We field a lot of questions and we can do that. Yeah.
Fantastic. And one last question from Maya.
Ko hea o ngā tipu I ahu mai I whenua ke atu I Aotearoa. What plants have come from different countries?
So we have, like we were saying at the beginning, a lot of different gardens within the garden. We have plants like the the collections like the winter garden glass houses, which has got cacti in it, and tropical plants like bananas. And then we have another collection of plants from around the world, which we call the Geographic Plant Collection. So plants from North America, Asia.
Cool, thank you very much, Tom. I think we're just about to run out of time here, so I'm going to quickly run through the whakatauki for Lily. If I push the button.
Te āwhito kai paika.
Thank you very much, Lily. And we have a song to fade on, which is... Thank you very much to Tom and Barbara, our guests today's show, and Maya, Lily and Tori, our ka manu o Rēhua.
Blossoms blooming, it's all empty and I don't care. So my baby down by the river, knew she'd have to come up soon for dinner.
Tauti mai I rā mire hei tis kamutai haere ki ka Kohika Pūtaiao me te reo rakatira o ka manu o Rēhua me Dr Anderson.
Ko te iriraki hāpore o te poti ara tahi korerima I ra 5FM tekau mārima whitu tekau mārima AM rānei.
Whaia ka mahi a te Kohika Māori o te poti ki www.research.co.nz tō rita mothni.